2026, the third annual Pennsylvania Collegiate Speed Chess Championship. We have a UPenn matchup with Justin, FIDE Master Justin Lee facing off against Josh Altman, the London kid. And so yeah, with that, I'm the organizer for PA College Chess, and Justin is gracious enough, or not Justin, Joe, a lot of J names. Joe is gracious enough to have us in, and I'll pass off to Joe to talk about the games.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nathan, for setting this up. And of course, we're joined by the UPenn president, Alex. And I guess we'll let you to it, Nathan. And Alex and I are going to dive into this
Yep,
match.
thank you.
All right. See ya. All right, Alex. Looks like we've got the players going underway. You apparently are the president of UPenn. And apparently, both of these players are from UPenn. Is that right?
That's right. We have an all UPenn matchup here, which makes us very, very happy.
Yeah, and I heard that you guys also just had a very solid showing at the Ivy League Championship. How'd that go?
That's right. We hosted it here at Penn yesterday, so I imagine both of these players are very, very exhausted. Both Josh and Justin were in really good shape yesterday. I think Justin went 1.5-half against Harvard's Akira Nakata in the Blitz playoffs, and Justin, I think, won 1 out of 2 against, I want to say it was Wesley Wang. So both these players are coming off hot streaks from the Inner Ivy, but I imagine they're also very tired. So I don't expect them to be going for super, super aggressive chess today.
I noticed that Justin is a FIDE master, but is slightly lower rated on chess.com. Do you think you have a particular favorite in this matchup, or is it pretty even?
I think Justin's for sure the favorite. His blitz rating's been known to get up in the 29s. He just happens to go up and down 200 points depending on the day. So if we get Justin on a good day, he's for sure the favorite. Josh, on the other hand, is consistently around that 2,700 mark. So this really depends on the form of the players. But I'd say the two-time champion, Justin, is for sure the favorite, or at least one-time champion, Justin.
Well, looking for two-time. They'll call him the two-time if he wins this one, right?
They'll call him the two-time. Oh yeah.
So Justin's got the black pieces to start off with, maybe a little bit down on time, but looks like a pretty solid position. Looks like that F pawn is getting thrown aside though, and the point is that the queen is going to be overloaded guarding both bishops, so you can't actually take that pawn because the rook on the e file is attacking the second bishop on e2. So we see bishop d4, and now the bishop comes out to f5. We see white just bringing in rooks in the center. Knight e4, this is pretty annoying. The queen has to go back, and now white has a 3-on-2 on the queen side. Do you think that's going to be a potential long-term advantage for white?
I think for sure, but I think the dynamics here are a lot more important. That knight on e4 is looking very, very strong, and that pawn on f4, even though statically in the long term might be a weakness, it looks very, very dangerous now. So I think Josh's job now is to try to trade off as many pieces as possible and try to get this 3 against 2 endgame on the queen side. But for now, I mean, Justin looks like his pieces are moving forward and Josh's are moving back, which is never a good sign.
Yeah, rook e1, a logical move, just trying to contest the e-file, maybe guarding the bishop, but then bishop to b4, a harsh reality. White has to put the rook right back on f1 because you couldn't block without seriously damaging your pawn structure, thanks to that knight on e4. So the rook goes back to f1, and now knight to c5. This is opening up black's rook, attacking the bishop on e2, and you can't really move the bishop anywhere. So how are you defending this bishop? You kind of
Yeah,
have
it's
to take.
not super easy. Yeah, I think you might have to take on c5 and go bishop d3, which I imagine is what's going to happen. Um, but again, after you take on c5 and bishop d3, you've given up the bishop pair, and black has no reason to take on d3, so he might just go bishop g4. Again, asking you a great question about this knight on f3. I think knight c5 is a phenomenal move by Justin, just asking these tough questions to Josh, what he's going to do with these pieces. But yeah, I mean, if you have to take on c5, which he does, you've given up the bishop pair, and that means in the long run, in this sort of open position, blacks are already going to be slightly better. Bishop d3 again. I think bishop g4 is played, and yeah, let's see what Josh has in mind against this move, because I don't see an immediate way to stop black from ruining your kingside pawn structure.
Yeah, that knight's pinned. You can't really move it without dropping the exchange, but there's also no extra defense for the knight, so you're gonna have to be strapped with the doubled f pawns. So both sides will have the doubled f pawns, but white's gonna be missing a g pawn, and that's gonna be a very weak kingside structure. So rook d to e1 is played, just trying to contest that e file. Maybe help allow the bishop to come back to the e file and defend the knight. But probably Justin's going to take on f3 right now. This is probably a critical moment.
I would agree with you. I think rook e1's a great move though, stopping black from any rook e6, rook h6, or rook g6 maneuvers in the future. Uh, just trying to trade into maybe an opposite colored bishop endgame where white can stick a bishop on e4 or d5, and I think we'll have good chances. I don't really like this g6 move by Justin here. I think you might have wanted that sixth rank to slide a rook over in the long term. I think if Josh can maybe stick a bishop on d5 now and start eyeing that f7 pawn, he should have more than enough uh, compensation for his ruined structure. And let's remember, it's not only Josh who has those doubled f pawns. He still has a queenside majority.
Yeah, I like this bishop to d5 maneuver and g6, maybe hindering a rook or anything sliding around the sixth rank to attack white's king, but it does perhaps help f5, which would keep the bishop out of e4 and then out of d5. But we don't see bishop e4 played. Instead, we see queen c3 looking at the long diagonal, and I'm curious why neither player is really addressing bishop e4 to d5. That seems like a really good plan.
I agree. This feels like a missed opportunity. Again, Josh's play is not on the dark squares. It's black who has the dark squared bishop. So I agree with you. I think f5 is a reasonable move, just shutting down that white square, the light squared bishop, and f2 is always going to be a weakness. So bishop d4, great move, just showing Josh that he really has no business on the dark squares. And I think after queen c2, a move like f5 is really in order. It looks like black is taking over on the dark squares while white uh, really doesn't know how to exploit those light squares. Queen d2, and I think here's the critical moment for Justin to stick a pawn on f5. He goes queen f6 instead, also a very reasonable move, hitting this b2 pawn. And it's unclear exactly what white does. He can't push the b pawn because of bishop c3, so maybe rook b1 is the sad necessity.
Yeah, moving the rook up, pressure on f4. So a counterpunch here, but black can also just trade rooks, but that might help white's structure. Either way, Justin looks to be winning material here. b2 seems undefendable.
Yeah, agreed. I think after rook takes e4, f takes e4 might not even be possible because of pawn to f3, cementing the weakness on f2 and leaving a lot to be desired for white's king safety. But I mean, yeah, if a pawn's hanging, why not take it? That's what Justin's asking here. So he grabs on b2, and now Josh's rook on e4 is looking really silly, and his bishop on d3 would really much rather be on d5 at this moment.
I just want to point out there is some increment. So Josh is a little bit down on time, but there's that 1 second increment. And also we have the match timer, I guess for this time controls, we have 35 minutes remaining here. So the first win is always really nice. If you can get that lead, that's going to help your confidence. And right now, Josh is definitely on the defensive side here. He's down a pawn. But the good news is it's opposite color bishops, and he definitely has some chances to hold this to a draw, and he's going to get some compensation as well. The b pawn is going to be hanging for black too.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's finally managed to put his bishop on a respectable diagonal. It's eyeing that d5 square, and I think the more pawns fly off, the closer we get to an equal position. So I think Josh has handled these last few moves very, very well. He's activated all of his pieces, and I think his drawing chances look exceptionally good here, especially when we eye that very, very weak f7 pawn.
Yeah, and you can tell just by the time usage, Justin maybe was feeling a little bit more confident earlier, but now actually both players super low on time. The A pawn is hanging, definitely taking that with tempo. Bishop counters back with c5, and now Black's going after this F pawn.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't think the F pawn matters that much. I think, yeah, bishop d5 feels like the right move. Looking at this f7 pawn, although bishop takes f2, now you got to worry about this h pawn. And if black ever manages to go rook a8, rook a1, then the white king might be in a lot of trouble.
I love
c5
this
here.
c5. If bishop takes, there'd be bishop takes on f7 check, followed with queen e8 fork. But ooh, just dropping the bishop there, that's gonna be resignation.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's not how you want to start the first match, especially because I think Josh is the one who has the advantage in the 5+1. I think the faster we get, the more it's going to play to Justin's strengths. So that's not a great first game for Josh Altman, the London kid. But here he is back in familiar territory with his favorite semi-Tarrasch. This is Josh's bread and butter, was featured many, many times at yesterday's Inter-Ivy Championships with great results. So this is this feels like where Josh might be able to find his flow.
That's pretty interesting. The players were teammates yesterday, and I mean, still technically teammates, but now they're facing off against each other today in the championship. I'm sure they've done a lot of practice together and have played each other a lot of times beforehand, and maybe know the ins and outs of their openings. So, do you think that plays a role in this? Do they know each other's openings pretty well?
Yeah, absolutely. These guys play a lot of chess. The three of us play training games, or Josh and I play training games almost every week, and we talk about everybody's repertoire on the team. So I think everybody is intimately familiar with the other's opening play. The thing with Justin, though, is this guy's got such a wide repertoire. He'll really play e4, d4, c4, knight f3, and g3 in one tournament. That even if you know his repertoire, he'll always surprise you with something new. While Josh tends to stick to his QGDs and semi-Tarraschs with black and has a few openings with white, but generally sticks to a much more narrow repertoire.
Does he play the London?
It's a good question. I don't think he does anymore. I think the London kid is homage to his English heritage.
Mm,
I want to say he was the youngest master in England back in 2013. Uh, so he's been the London kid for a very long time.
wow.
There's some iconic photos of him with Magnus and Gary and all the big guys back when he was just a little kid with a British accent, and now he's playing in the US and his British accent is gone, but the London kid chess.com name is still there. So no more Londons for Josh.
And did you play in this event? Did you get knocked out at some point?
I got knocked out against Baron in the semifinals, who Josh beat in a by 1 point in the uh, I guess it would have been in the semis then. It was a crazy match. I think at 1 point Josh was down 5 or 6 points, but he managed this insane comeback in the bullet. It was really an incredible match. So the fact that Josh made it here is already already took a huge effort. So I imagine that's also going to take a toll on his play because he's really fought really, really hard to get to this stage.
Nice. I can feel in this position. I think white I would give a slight edge to because of the isolated queen pawn on d5, and you could see both of white's knights are doing a great job of just keeping that pawn locked in the middle there. But I really liked Josh's play with a5, and that's really just carving out some dark squares for the bishop. And you could see black is getting some counterplay here now on the c file, targeting the a pawn, which is babysat by the queen. But now we see an instant blunder here from Justin. This is an opportunity for Josh to get back on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. Queen b3, that's not a move you want to see. But I mean, high nerves on both sides, and especially after the match we played yesterday, I can understand why we might see a few more blunders than usual today. Although with that being said, job isn't finished yet. There's still a hanging rook on e5. Knight c6 is maybe in the air. So Josh still has to consolidate all of his pieces and convert this cleanly, which in the Pennsylvania Speed Chess Championships we're not known for clean conversions. A lot of things happen from piece up to queen blunders to checkmate blunders to flagging accidentally. It's never a sure thing that a match is over.
And that's the beauty of speed chess. You see the time pressure will always be mounting, and there's always chances for comebacks. But this is definitely Josh's game to secure the win, especially with a ton of time left on the clock here. We see queen up to d6, really solid move, just lining up queen and bishop, forming this battery, and maybe looking for a queen trade. Maybe the queen enters to b4. That's exactly what we see.
Yeah, absolutely. This is just some principle chess here from Josh. When you're up material, trade pieces, and the added benefit is once you've traded pieces, you can't blunder them anymore. So this is really, I think, some good practical play by Josh. But Justin again is always tricky to the very end. Queen d3, avoiding the queen trade, trying to keep the position as complicated as possible. Maybe knight f4 now hitting the d4 pawn, and again, there's still some issues to resolve for Josh before he can take this one home.
Yep, knight f4, your move being played on the board here. So d5, that queen pawn that we talked about earlier is now being questioned. So black either has to defend it or they can come up with maybe a counterattack. So queen d6.
Yeah, queen d6, great move, just defending all of his pieces. I anticipate rook c8 is going to be Josh's next move if he can get it, trying to go rook c1, trade off those rooks, and then I think from there his job will get a lot easier. So let's see what Justin has in mind. Knight b3 covering the c1 square, and again, revealing an attack on d5. Great practical move.
And asking the a pawn what it wants to do as well. So there's two pawns hanging. Can you save both? That's maybe a little difficult.
Yeah, I think for sure you can maybe throw in a bishop g7, hitting the rook, improving the bishop. Rook d8, the conservative choice, but again, that a5 pawn is en prise and taken by Justin. And even if Justin is still, significantly worse, I think the momentum is shifting in his favor here.
Yeah, he gets a pawn, and more importantly, now the a pawn is free to move, and white can maybe try to get an outside pass pawn. Right now, it's a 2-on-1 majority there, so Justin has some play, has some plans. Bishop g7, like you said, hitting the rook in the corner. We see the rook going to the center, and now white has some hopes on the outside.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, now targeting this d5 pawn, a little unclear how Josh would like to respond. Is d4 possible? That's what I'm wondering. Taking advantage of the fact that that knight on f4 is hanging. Maybe it can just be taken with the knight and then with queen and rook. So we'll see.
d4 definitely one of the moves to consider. The computer really likes this move that's being played. Rook c3, just forcing the queen to the back rank, defending the knight.
Yeah, no, rook c3 is for sure the move. Again, when your pieces are moving forward, that's always a good sign. Maybe queen b4, yeah, hitting the knight, hitting the pawn on a4. It looks like Josh has found his flow again.
Yeah, so white has to concede something here, right? The knight's hanging, the pawn is hanging. If you move the knight, you can force a queen trade, or you can take on a4. So Josh is finding good moves here.
Absolutely. And again, d4 is always to be desired for black. If you can force, trade off your isolated pawn, and then maybe stick a bishop on d4, a little parallel to sticking a bishop on d5 in the first game, hitting that weak f2 or f7 pawn. That also seems like a positive development for Josh. So the onus is on Justin, and he decides to go rook d3, trying to trade off some of the pressure.
But now Josh can win the a pawn. Also trading here. There's either queen takes or knight takes.
I think either way, that a pawn will be up for grabs. Knight takes is chosen. I think Josh should grab a pawn while he has a chance. Knight c5 played. Queen c4. And rook a8, threatening rook a1, and it's not really clear how exactly you stop this threat. If the queen moves, there's always rook a1 check followed by queen c7, hitting the b7 knight and hitting the king on h2. So this might really be reps now for JLL 2006.
Yeah, great move here. White trying to grab that B pawn, but rook A8, that's not quite the final nail in the coffin, but it's getting it ready.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't even see a move for Justin here, and clearly neither does he. He's burning more time. Um, let's see. I think knight d6 could be met with simply queen c7 among other moves. Um, yeah, queen c7 again, indirectly hitting this h2 square. Queen b4 though, Justin is really one of the more resilient chess players, I think, in this lineup. He'll never resign, and he has tricks until the end. And I think psychologically, this is also one of Justin's greatest strengths. That even when you've won, you know, against this guy, I've got to beat him another 5 times until the game's over. Although bishop f8 seems pretty convincing here from Josh.
Yeah, really, really admirable defense here from Justin, but Josh will move ahead, finds the pin, and wins the knight.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, I think Justin playing on here is psychologically maybe a good idea. Try some tricks, maybe exhaust his opponent a little bit, although this might be too much. Now, rook b8, that b5 pawn is on pre. Queen b6, just in cold blood, saying, you can't defend this pawn anymore, and I think it might be time to resign for Justin.
Well done. Yeah. And definitely with the match clock, there is some strategy behind not resigning. Like you said, could tire your opponent down. But also, you know, if you have the lead, you want to wind that clock down as low as possible to move on to the next section with that lead. But that being said, he knew he was losing and there wouldn't be a lead. It'd be tied 1-1. So back at it, resigning, and we're on to game 3 with about half the section of the time left.
Yeah, I think Justin might also think he's got an advantage in the bullet, so he might be trying to draw these these 5+1 games out as long as possible. So this might also be a targeted strategy from Justin to try to draw out those games as long as possible.
All right, so it looks like we have a d4, d5, c4, c6. This is the Queen's Gambit decline that, like you mentioned.
Yeah, the Slav is one of Justin's favorite, and I think this might have sort of transposed into something that looks like a London now with the bishop on f4. Uh, maybe g4 and h4 is something that can be considered from white. Uh, it certainly would be Josh's style. Or you can go for a quieter approach, maybe e3, bishop d3, and castle your king. So I think these might be the options that Josh is mulling over now.
Yeah, f3 being played. I feel like, I mean, I'm not a d4 player, but usually I feel like e3 and trying to get the light square bishop out makes sense to me. But f3 obviously boxing out some of these squares from black's minor pieces. And like you mentioned, helps for g4, or even e4 in some lines. But right now that bishop on f1 has no squares. Instead, we see knight a4, knight on the rim, hitting the queen, but now the queen has a counterattack against the knight.
Yeah, this is remarkably provocative chess by Justin. Queen b5, just staring down that bishop on f1. I mean, really
Wow.
amazing stuff, and a draw by repetition. Now, that is absolutely unexpected. Josh forfeiting his white pieces and forfeiting some time off the 5+1 section. That really surprises me. I would disagree with this decision. A6. Now, not to toot my own horn, I think this is an opening that I've been preparing with with Josh for a long time. He might have been inspired by uh, one of your commentators here. With that being said, it's not a particularly good opening, so if he loses, we'll pretend that I had no say in his opening choice here.
Well, in the player interview afterwards, we can ask him if it was your fault.
Yeah, absolutely. Although the system makes some sort of sense, we saw Nakamura also put his pawn on a6 in a lot of queen gambit decline structures in the candidate tournament. The idea is that you're controlling this very important b5 square, and in some lines, when you take on c4 and white recaptures, you can play pawn b5 with tempo. So this a6 move is really useful in a lot of different structures. The question is, does it justify losing a whole tempo? And more often than not, the answer is no.
B3 now from white, looking for fianchetto perhaps, or maybe even bishop a3. Well, not anymore, but okay, not going for the fianchetto. Unpinning the knight. Both bishops out now. White's ready to castle. Black's castle kingside. Developing the pieces. And we see, again, an isolated queen pawn for black on d5, but black's maybe looking to reconnect pawns after this trade.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a very similar structure to what we had in the first game. And again, this is a trade-off between statics and dynamics. In the long run, that d5 pawn, that c6 pawn will be weak. Maybe white will go knight a4, try to trade off that dark squared bishop, rook c1, stick something on c5, and really grind the position out. With that being said, I imagine black will try to retreat the bishop back to d6, and there we go, knight g4. I mean, dynamic chess, understanding exactly what the position demands. It's time for Josh to launch a kingside attack.
Ooh, we
Bishop
have
h7, super tricky. Uh,
a Greek gift here with the queen coming out with the fork. So that's a pawn in white's favor, but the computer is not loving it necessarily. It's saying there's a lot of compensation for black. You could see the eval bar is still remaining relatively even.
yeah, I think the a lot of the modern computers know to love and value the bishop pair for all that it's worth, and especially looking at those bishops staring down at the king. Um, Even though white's a pawn to the good, this could go wrong very, very quickly for Justin. Maybe in some world, g6, king g7, and rook h8 can be considered. Just really maximizing your pressure onto the king and creating some attack. Although Justin, unimpressed, is just continuing with his positional play, maybe now hinting at bishop c3 and really asking whose king is the one under attack.
Yeah, this knight move opens up the rook on the c file, but you can't be tempted by the c6 pawn because there is the counter Greek gift, bishop h2. You don't get the pawn back, but you would win that rook. So bishop back to g6, hitting the queen. Queen maybe looking for g4, maybe looking at e2.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, but again, bishop c3 coming, and it feels like Justin is finding all the right squares. Queen f3, I think, is the principled move, saying, look, I'm up a pawn. Let's play an endgame.
Yeah, this
And
this was the one queen square I wasn't considering to damage the pawn structure, but at least you renew the threats on c6 and you're forcing the queen trade. So definitely agreed with the principles here. And queen to e5, a little checkmate threat on h2. So we see the queen trade offered again, but declined again by Josh, and with the reveal now on the queen.
and queen d4, that's an amazing square for the queen. Again, bishop c3 will then line up a battery and in fact create a checkmate threat on g7. So let's see what Josh comes up with. Bishop e5 would be releasing control of that c5 square. Um, no, this has been phenomenal positional play by Justin, which is, I think, one of his greatest strengths.
Yeah, winning the first game, blundering in game two, getting a draw, getting back to white pieces, and now just up a pawn. And like you said, just really positionally playing quite well. So now black has run out of attacks. Bishop to e4, just centralizing their bishop. But now this is a tempo for white to start dictating the pace. So there's this move, knight c5, that's coming to mind, forking the queen and the bishop. So we're winning the bishop pair here. And now lifting the rook. Rooks are ready to double on the c file. Go after that c6 pawn. And white definitely has a ton of space and time to play with here.
Yeah, and this looks like it's going to be a positional masterclass from Justin. recognizing that in fact the dark squares are far weaker than the light squares. I imagine, there we go, king f2, just flexing his control over the dark squares, covering the g3 square. And look at this, every single one of white's pieces is on a dark square, just reasserting his control. I expect some maneuvers here, and I think eventually his dominance over the dark squares will be converted into a more tangible advantage. G4, very provocative chess.
G4, and black answers back with F5, saying, okay, you want to push the pawns in front of your king? Let's open some stuff up. So black definitely still fighting, still making moves here. I don't think white wants to ever take on F5, but it might be the best move.
Yeah, I mean, the added benefit of taking on f5 is that rook g1 is coming, and look at that g7 pawn. Even though it might look like white's king is under attack on f2, it really feels perfectly safe. Maybe rook g3 now, simply defending this h3 pawn, and bishop c3 coming. It feels like there's still some questions to answer for Josh.
Bishop c3 definitely the move here, just piling on that g pawn. And at some point, e4 might be a move because the d pawn is pinned. Check and queen block. So white, as we know, is very happy to trade queens.
Yeah, absolutely. But maybe in a strange twist of events, Josh isn't too unhappy to trade queens, sensing some pressure on g7, although he decides he'll try his hands at a swindle. Rook g3 just defending all the weaknesses, and the one good thing for Josh is that that rook on c5 feels a little bit out of the game for now. So maybe your idea with e4 will make a lot of sense, bringing that last piece back into the fray.
Josh is on the clock, needs to find a move. Probably, I'm thinking that rook on the a file is not doing anything, so rook f8 is definitely a top choice.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really wondering why he's thinking here. I think rook e8, rook f8 feels like the natural choice and should be played quickly. I imagine the clock will be decisive very soon. So, uh, yeah, I have to say I was expecting a faster move from Josh. I'm not exactly sure what he's thinking about. Maybe he's trying to assess e4, but I think rook f8 will really put an end to anything like that. And rook f8 played, but only after a 20-minute think, a 20-second think.
It feels like 20 minutes. They only have 12 left, so I think there's only going to be time for one more game, and they're tied right now. So whoever takes this game, that's going to be huge.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Justin's plan here should maybe be bishop d4 followed by rook c1 and lifting the other rook over to g1. Um, but again, I think either plan should be played quickly, as we're now slowly approaching 1 minute, and this e4 move I absolutely disagree with. I mean, you had complete control over the dark squares, and your rook's misplaced on c5. I think there's no need to open up your king on f2 like this.
Well,
Maybe this works dynamically, but yeah,
this
queen takes e4.
this is the tactic. So the problem with e4 earlier, the f pawn is pinned, and you could have played rook takes e4, but the problem is that rook is defending the g file. But when you bring that second rook over, the f pawn is still pinned. So instead of taking with the rook, you can now take with the queen, and that's just a free pawn there.
Yeah, I mean, this also just it feels wrong. In the Russian school of chess, they always say you have to optimize all of your pieces first, and only then do you think about pushing a pawn. And I think there was a lot of room for optimization. That bishop could have come to d4, that rook on c5 could have come to g1 before you even consider pushing any pawns and changing the structure. I mean, he had full control, and now suddenly it's everybody's game, and the clocks are ticking down to 30 seconds.
Shout out to Wikipedia in the chat. Jeffrey from Temple, a longtime CCL veteran and team captain and college ambassador. I'm sure you guys are very familiar with Jeffrey.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's a staple of the PAChess community, so great to have him here. Looks like he's a Josh fan as well. I think we all are. We have to be rooting for our graduating seniors here, and probably also the underdog in this match. So yeah. And also things look very decent for Josh here. That king on G2 is feeling weak, and yeah, this could really go either way, but 6 seconds on the clock. This might be an uphill battle for Josh.
Okay, bishop e5, kind of a risky move, pinning yourself, but maybe the f pawn wants to push. But now bishop on f5 saying, do you really want to push your f pawn? Justin says yes, and Josh says, all right, bishop on e4. Good luck getting that. And now the queen looking at h1. Maybe we have to go to g1.
Yeah, and then maybe
No,
queen king G3. I
the
mean,
king is running. But now,
unafraid. Maybe Josh is just looking to trade queens here and play a nice endgame.
queen h1
Let's see.
again.
King G3 back, queen D3 check.
King back. This is going to be a draw.
Oh,
So
fair enough.
back-to-back draws, maybe slightly different circumstances, but with 8 minutes on the timer, this is going to be the last blitz game in this section, unless we see another early draw.
Now the French from Justin, this is absolutely provocative. This is Josh's bread and butter, the one opening that he's been playing for 10 years. So to play the French against somebody who's been playing the French for 10 years, that's a statement here from Justin. And Josh opts for the, I think it's called the Western Inn attack, a favorite from my coach, playing b3 and bishop b2, something very atypical, but it's become very fashionable in recent years.
And Justin transposes with c5 to a Sicilian defense.
Yeah, this feels like a closed Sicilian, where White's gone for b3 and bishop b2. It looks like a very even position out of the opening. I think both players are probably quite happy with what they've got. Takes twice on c6 is interesting. I suppose White is claiming that he's got a better structure. And Justin's claiming that he's just very, very solid. I think, again, both players should be quite happy with this opening.
Rook a to d1, very logical. Bringing the rooks into the center. White's developed all their pieces off the back rank. Maybe we'll see rook f to e1, or maybe even a rook lift or pawn push here, a flight square for White's king. And at some point, White's going to try to open up this bishop on the long diagonal and maybe stir up some trouble here, pointing at the black king side. So Justin goes a5. That's looking to keep play on the queen side, but Josh shuts that down immediately with a4.
Yeah, so e5 here chosen by Justin. That's very interesting. I was expecting the d pawn to be pushed one square forward into the center. But Justin's saying, why can't I have both? And Josh might have a very good answer for the question and saying that you've weakened your f5 square, you've weakened this e5 square. This might be a little bit too much. Again, that rook on a8 would much rather be on e8 right now. This looks like some very, very principled chess from Josh.
Yeah, the knight rerouting to g3. That f5 square is just a dream square. Oh, what's up? We got AK and Chess Destroyer. Chess24 with the raid from candidates. Shout out to Chess24. We are watching the Pennsylvania College Chess Championship. It's basically the Speed Chess Championship format, but for the Pennsylvania college students. And right now, it's a UPenn versus UPenn finals. This is the last match of the tournament, and this will determine who's going to be the fastest and best Pennsylvania college chess player.
Yeah, thank you for the raid. We're super excited to have everybody here. We have a all UPenn final. Josh Altman with the white pieces playing against Justin Lee, the reigning Pennsylvania speed chess champion. Match is tied at 2-2 as we have probably the last game of the 5+1 section before we move to 3+1 and finally the 1+1 section to determine the champion. This is going to be an exciting match for sure.
Yeah, and I think there's probably going to be a little bit of a break between sections, I'm assuming. Maybe not.
Yeah, players can elect to take a little break between the sections to look over their lines, or if they both agree, they can just continue playing immediately. I imagine these guys will want the 5-minute break though to adjust their openings before they jump back into the fray. And wow, what a position we have on the board here. The bishop on h6 is hanging, but I don't think it can be taken. Maybe queen f6 and rook g4 come to mind there. Rook e6 played, but this lets Josh get away with his uh, pawn advantage and just uh, potential kingside attack here.
Yeah, bishop takes on h6, definitely an aggressive move from Josh, taking advantage of an overloaded g-pawn. And so we see the knights trade on e4, and then the rook lift, and like you said, the bishop lives to tell the tale, comes back, and Josh is just happily up a pawn. So now going after another pawn, c6, and a lead for Josh from the 5+1 is going to be huge. Like you said, Justin is the favorite. So Josh needs as much as he can get.
Yeah, queen d3 though, great move. I mean, just trying to complicate the situation. Queen b1 check and picking up the b3 pawn is a threat. And it's not exactly clear how white responds. Maybe rook h4 and queen h5 come to mind, just going all in for the checkmate, but it seems like black has enough defenders around the king to where that shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, this is definitely an active approach here from Justin. So not defending the c pawn directly, but tactically going for that b1 fork. So we see queen to e4, shielding that diagonal from any queen b1 check. Instead, we see queen d1 check, and now black can still take on b3, and they do so.
Yeah, white takes on c6, but I think, again, the more pawns get traded, the better the drawing chances look, and especially if we trade the rooks, then I don't think that missing h-pawn will mean a lot in terms of a checkmate coming. So I think these have been some favorable developments, and here we go, f5, trying to force some sort of tactics, but this feels like a better trade for Josh. I think he'd much rather trade the queens than the rooks, as now he's just playing a pawn-up endgame.
Yeah, f4, asking the bishop a question. If you go to c5 looking for a bishop trade, you're going to get pinned. So instead, we see bishop to a7. Kind of interesting. The only other alternative was back to d2 or c1, which wasn't played here. Now black's looking to maybe press through with e3 and create a pass pawn.
Yeah, maybe king g1 here should be played and is played, trying to blockade the pass pawn with the king and then maybe eventually pick it off. This feels like some very good endgame technique from Josh, who has famously very, very good rook endgames. So uh, I think Josh is very, very happy with what he's got here, and will try to press both the position and the clock as best as possible here to finish out this 5+1 section strong.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Josh needs. I think you were mentioning as the speed picks up, it favors one of the players. Was it Justin?
I think Justin is for sure the bullet favorite. He is has got some amazing mouse skills and plays a lot of speed chess. So I think for sure the bullet and maybe even the 3+1 will be in Justin's favor. So it's absolutely important that Josh can pick this game up, not only for his confidence and for the momentum, but also to just try to get as much as a cushion as possible before we get into that 3+1 and 1+1 section.
Here, this king is the last line of defense against this e-pawn, and I would love if our bishop could give a check. So bishop d6 immediately comes to mind. And very importantly, white has this bishop f2 maneuver, just preventing the bishop from coming in. But instead, we see the bishop going all the way to a3. And
Yeah,
here, we're
super
looking at
sneaky.
maybe c1 to d2, trying to just dislodge this king, allowing that pawn through. So white has to be extra careful. Keep an eye out on these dark squares that bishop's trying to get in from behind.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, this bishop f2 move will thankfully cover that threat in covering the e1 square. So Josh just decides now's a good time to do it. Make sure no shenanigans will happen on the back rank. Um, and in a dream world, he can really get this rook around to the e4 square, the e3 square, and try to pick up that e2 pawn and then grind the endgame out with no risk. And he's also got a 1 minute advantage on the clock, which will probably play a role as Justin ticks towards that 30-second mark.
Yeah, that time keeps ticking, and it looks like we are officially at the end of the 5+1 section. So at the end of this game, the players will move on to the next section with 3+1, and Justin, low on time, not really able to find a way through, plays king to f7.
Yeah, but maybe now rook f4 check, rook f3, followed by rook e3 comes to mind. It feels like he's sort of losing the thread a little bit, and Josh has got complete control and is a minute to the good on the clock. This looks like it's going in Josh's favor.
Yeah, I really like that rook f4 to f3 plan. There's also, you could play king d2 is possible, and just switching the guard for e1, but I think the rook check is the most active. There's also rook c7 check is possible.
Yeah, no, absolutely. A lot of good options for Josh, but I think again he should just pick one and go with it. He elects rook f4 check, probably rook f3, and rook e3 will be the follow-up. Also, something like bishop d4 seems very reasonable, intending rook f2 and rook e2, picking up the pawn that way. But maybe after bishop d4, bishop c1 will be an issue. So Josh still has to be careful about this pawn on e2. King d2, like you suggested, covering the c1 square. And also maybe the bishop will shift to e1, followed by rook f2. Bishop e7 played, threatening bishop g5. I mean, really tricky chess from Justin here as the clocks tick down further.
Only rook g4 check is seemingly what the computer is suggesting. There's this bishop block with a counter check, but the king can come back to e1. Doesn't. Very surprising. Now,
No, I anticipate now bishop e1 just trying to eliminate all risk from the position, but it feels like in the last 3-4 moves, Justin's got something going, although rook g3 now, rook f3, and maybe rook e3 forcing off the rooks. Now this should be the game, I think now
yeah,
with one pawn and probably two pawns to the good. This should be a straightforward conversion for white, although you still have to watch out about that a4 pawn, h4 played, g4 played. Uh-oh, this looks like he's allowed some risk in the position. That a pawn is running and it's running fast, but bishop c3 controlling the critical diagonal. I think this should now look like a technical win for Josh here. h5, amazing chess. g6, g7.
whoa.
Although, hold on.
c5 was the only move. Oh, now this
Yeah.
blunders with bishop f8
Oh my
check.
God, and he's
Oh,
given up the pawns. Oh no.
it's gonna be a
Heartbreak.
draw.
It's gonna be a draw now. He was so close.
Low time makes a fool of us all, but
Yeah, what a
equal
match.
in the 5+1, and let's see. We have our chief organizers talking to the players behind the scenes. We'll see if they want to break or if they want to get right into the 3+1. What's up, Almany?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was some wow. I mean, what an end to the 5+1. There's always fireworks in the PA College Chess League. Again, no game ever comes to a quiet conclusion, it seems. What are your thoughts on that 5+1 section? Who do you think is happy?
I think Justin definitely is happy. I think Justin started with the lead, but Josh answered right back, and definitely Josh was leading that last game, should have won, and Justin just put up enough defense to hold it to a draw. So I think that is definitely a big moment there for Justin, knowing like, okay, I got through the 5+1. That was maybe Josh's best chance and time control. And definitely knew that they got away with one there. So I'm looking back at this game, and I'm looking at just some of these critical moments. It was definitely winning for white, right? Up a pawn in this endgame. There was immediately, you could have played this h5 move here. On move 54 is one moment that could have been huge. Instead, going for the bishop trade, which still makes sense. Bishop tucks back, and now there's only two winning moves. Apparently, it's king d4 or h5. H5 is played by Josh. Pawn takes, and now G6. But now it's really tricky. Black could have played H4 and tried running the H pawn. Instead, they're going with the A pawn, and this is a mistake because of the move C5. This is the only winning move at this point for Josh. Very difficult to find. But the point is you have two pass pawns now, and if the bishop takes C5, well, then they're not stopping G7, G8, which actually comes with check as well. But instead, we started with G7, takes, and now Black knows the C pawn is passed, so tries to stop it, but the ultimate irony is that now there's this move, bishop F8, again, the only winning move for Josh. That was missed. Instead, Black had two other ways to draw, and it's by pushing your pawns. You can either play H4, or I guess A2 doesn't work. You have to play King A4. King A4 not allowing for the bishop to go back with check. But yeah, bishop F8 was missed and abandoned the C pawn. So that was unfortunate from Josh there, and that's what blundered the game.
Yeah, I mean, understandable panic seeing that, wait a minute, there's an A pawn and an H pawn running down the board. I don't want to lose. So maybe a good practical decision by Josh to just abandon the C pawn and make sure that nothing goes horribly wrong in this game. But also a missed opportunity that I know will sting, especially going into this break. I don't think Josh is going to be very happy as we enter this 3+1 portion. I imagine both players have elected to take a break, so let's see what prep they cook up in the next 5 minutes. What do you think about the openings? Do you think generally Josh is happy with what he got? You think Justin's going to try to switch it up, or what do you think is going to happen as we go into the 3+1, Joe?
I certainly know the least about the openings, but I know what's exciting is when you play the same player multiple times, you get a feel of what openings they have. And like you said, Justin has been known to switch things up a lot, which is really exciting. That's going to keep Josh on their toes. And if Josh sticks to the same sort of openings, that might be a little easier for Justin. But I'm really excited for the bullet because that's when you can really get a feel of how the openings are going. You know, if you stick to the same opening, you can see at what point you might need to switch things up. But I guess if the player's on a break, maybe it's a good time we can bring Nathan back and have Nathan talk a little bit more about the match so far and the format, and maybe say hi to all of our raiders that have stuck around.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, Nathan, are you back?
Yeah, I'm here. The games are gonna start pretty quick, so I'll be quick with what I say. So at 2:56, we're slated to start the games again, but so far it's been a really exciting match. I mean, it's neck and neck. You can't get better than that. I will say both of these players have had really tight matches. Justin in the quarterfinals only won by 1 point. And, you know, Josh in the semifinals only won by 1 point. So I was really one. And then their other matches, they were dominating. So what are we going to see today? Are we going to see them both in good shape? And so far, it looks like they're about, even so far. So I'm really hoping this continues on into the next portion.
Yeah, no one's running away with it, which is exactly what you want to see. And for those of you that don't know, Nathan Ziegler, he is the organizer of the event. We really appreciate all that Nathan's done to set this up. So Nathan, how long have you guys been doing this?
This is our 3rd year doing it, and we hope to continue doing it. I think we'll have to expand the amount of people doing the behind the scenes work to keep it going in future years, but hopefully we continue this tradition.
Awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in and watching. I guess it's time for the 3+1 to start. Is that right?
Yep. Thank you so much.
Awesome. All right. Alex, I guess we're ready for some 3+1 action whenever the players start, and we'll just keep an eye out for those games to start. But in the meantime, you were saying, Josh, that's their best chance in the 5+1, but it ended up being even. Do you think there's still a chance for Josh in these faster time controls, or do you think this is where Justin's really going to shine?
Yeah, well, I think Jeffrey here in the chat said it best that Josh needs to neutralize Justin's magic in the 3+1. That's absolutely right. I think if Justin builds up some momentum in these first two, 3 games of the 3+1, he might just run away with the match. So Josh will have to feature some really, really great prep here. Can speak from experience from last year. Yeah, I think that can apply to all of us. Justin has got some mad skills in the 3+1 and 1+1. So let's see what Josh has decided to go with here. If he'll stick with his semi-Taraj or if he's going to switch it up and C5 on move one. Really interesting choice here by Josh.
Yeah, d4, c5, that is the Benoni, which, fun fact, I used to play back in the day, and then I quickly abandoned it because I was like, man, I really don't think this is a good opening. But
No, I mean it famously isn't, but it's one that Josh has been playing for a very, very long time, so he's gonna know the structures inside and out, and I think that might be a very good practical choice in the 3+1 to play something that you know, so that you won't have to burn time. And uh, I want to say I think this is a good opening choice by Josh here.
all right, well, we'll see what Josh does with it because right now white just looks like they've got that space in the center with a d5 pawn. Um, but Josh putting a rook on the e file, putting the knight on e5, and there's some slight pressure on e4, but there's also this knight on g3. So kind of an interesting position for the knight. It's obviously boxed out by this g pawn. But there's a world where maybe we attack on these dark squares. You could see white's already put the queen and bishop on the same battery, typical against the fianchetto. Maybe bishop to h6 at some point is going to be played, just trying to trade off the dark square bishops there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think h5, h4 can also be considered at the right moment for Josh, just trying to show white that that knight on g3 maybe isn't optimally placed. Uh, he chooses bishop d7, I think a great practical choice, and bishop h6 executing his plan, also blocking that h pawn from ever advancing. Let's see if Josh decides to trade or step back with the bishop and keep his dark squared bishop.
Yeah, it's always kind of a decision here. Knight to g4, this is definitely pressing white's hand. So we see the trade, the king steps up to try to shield some of these dark squares. And now h3, asking the knight a question. And if the knight goes to e5,
f4.
yeah, f4 is going to hurt. So that knight doesn't really have anywhere else to go. So knight is forced to h6. No. Wow, we have a sort of fishing pole tactic trick here, but I've never seen it played like this before.
Amazing. HG. I have to say, I like Josh's spirit here, even if the move is most likely not a very good one. Saying, I'd rather sacrifice a piece than retreat. This is some Karpovian chess, or probably more like Tal, given how unsound it is. Um, so
Oh
let's see
my
if he can make
goodness.
it work. Maybe he'll be the magician of London to honor the magician of Riga. Although, I have to say, right now, it doesn't look like he'll be getting any title other than Big Blunder. So let's see if Josh can now prove that his sacrifice wasn't just a blunder.
Yeah, he didn't like knight h6 for some reason. Maybe, as you said, just too passive. But the gloves are certainly off, and they're not holding back. In fact, Josh could have tried. Oh my goodness. I
I mean, the
mean,
thing is, there's not even really a mate threat here. The knight on g3 covers the h1 square.
yeah,
So something like f4 should always, be fine. F3
f3,
chosen
f4
here,
on
and
the
an immediate
signs.
resignation by Josh. He doesn't want to live out the humiliation. He'll pretend that game never happened and try to strike back with the white pieces. But I think this is what Jeffrey warned us about in the chat. Um, sort of letting Justin work his 3+1 magic. Uh, that might be exactly what just happened here.
Josh was super sound, I think, in the 5+1 section, and I really hope that that one move decision there to hang the knight is just that, just a one-time thing. Otherwise, if we could see some more of these kind of rash decisions from Justin, this could be a quick match.
Yeah, and I mean, look at this opening choice. B3, bishop B2, followed by F3, E4. Clearly during the break, Josh must have had a monster energy or something, because he's really out for blood. First sacking a knight, now sacking a pawn. Uh, apparently the quiet chess wasn't for him, even though I thought it was working quite well. He's elected to just go for an all-in approach here, saying, look, either you're going to run away with this 3+1 or I am. I have to say, I respect it. And as a commentator here, I have to say, I think we're very happy with this decision because we're expecting some sacrifices, some dynamic chess, and some checkmates, hopefully. So, uh, interesting match strategy for sure. We'll ask him about this in the post-game interview. What exactly happened during that 5-minute break that he decided to go all in? Um, but for now, I think let's just see if the strategy pays off.
Yeah, this is the last match of the Pennsylvania College Chess Speed Championship. So, um, yeah, he's going out with a show. He knows that we're on air. We also had a huge raid from Chess 24, so people going from candidates to this, definitely a different level of chess, different speed of chess. But chess nonetheless, and Josh is not disappointing. And I really love this opening actually for White with this Queen E2, right? Already just threatening the fork with Queen to B5 and the Bishop tucking back, and White castling queenside. Super aggressive, and Black was just a little bit behind in development. Now gets castled, connecting the rooks, and it's actually White's bishop now that is feeling a little bit behind, but White has created a ton of space with this E pawn already pushed up to E5, and now creating space for the light square bishop. Black opting to castle on the same side, but definitely White has more space here. And okay, Black trading rooks, looking to trade off both rooks, and that makes sense. When you're down in space, you want to trade off pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. But even if you trade off pieces, that bishop pair is still going to be there to stay. And with that, Josh will always have this slight advantage. Um, Especially that light squared bishop is going to be bearing down on that c6 knight, the b7 pawn. And I can see a world where that pawn on b3 will eventually be thrown forward. Queen d2 feels not in the spirit of his play. I mean, if you start the game sacrificing pieces, you get this bishop pair, you start prepping this attack, it feels a little counterintuitive to then say, hey, let's trade queens and play a peaceful endgame.
Yeah, it really liked Queen E3, targeting this knight on C5 and keeping queens on the board. But now trading off all of the heavy pieces. A5 here, definitely looking to create some space on the queen side, but there was apparently a missed opportunity for either bishop to E4, pinning the knight to the bishop, or the move knight to D7. And the point is, hey, your pawn on E5, it is isolated. That is a target, a weakness in the position, and the bishop pinning the knight or the knight going back to D7 to target that pawn. These are moves designed to make White stress and defend. Instead, A5, and this lets White off the hook just a little bit. Knight over to H4, attacking that bishop, and now we see bishop E4 played. King coming in with the tempo on the knight.
It feels like the momentum is shifting, though. I mean, just 5 moves ago, White had a bishop pair and a kingside attack brewing, and now suddenly he's got a worse structure, doubled pawns on the c file, and an isolated pawn on e5. It seems like the last 10 moves have gone in Justin's favor, and now he's also up 30 seconds on the clock. I'm afraid the momentum is shifting back to Justin. This might be that 3+1 Justin magic that everybody's talking about in the chat.
Okay, bishop C3, hitting that A pawn, maybe looking to play B4.
B6, calm and collected. Justin looks unimpressed. And again, I think in Blitz, these knights are never to be underestimated. They can shimmy around until the end of time, until they found their perfect squares. And in the meantime, that bishop on c3 is just staring at its own pawn.
Okay, knight coming back. King is stepping up. We're looking to play G5, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe, but if you play g5, you're forfeiting that f5 square. Although Josh thinks the dynamics compensate, I would tend to agree. But again, it seems like he's sort of losing steam, and in the long term, I think those knights will prove very, very strong. Knight f5 played. Again, 30 seconds up on the clock for Justin, and the onus is on on Josh here to try to find a plan. C5.
He finds one. He's looking to undermine, but black can just pass that, it seems. And with the knight on c6, the a pawn is defended. So just everywhere white finds a move, black has an answer. And black is really sort of just sitting back, and it looks like Josh just keeps pushing these pawns, and every pawn push he makes, it creates a weakness. And look at this now,
Yeah,
he
knight
concedes
d4 here.
d4, and the c pawn, that pawn is going to be dropping, and if not the c
Oh,
pawn, then the b
knight f3
pawn.
check might also be decisive here, trading the knight for the bishop and then sliding the other knight to d4 and just collecting the house. He elects just to take the c2 pawn. Knight back to d4. Now this drops a piece, missed by Justin, who elects to take the c6 pawn instead of knight f3 check, but a resignation nonetheless. What a match. It does look like Justin might be running away with this, although Josh decides to switch back to something more solid, and maybe this will yield better results.
Josh has to switch something up because he right now is down 2-0 in the 3+1, and you can't let that continue because this match is going to be over. So definitely you need to get one starting here. Just play a solid game, maybe a little bit more calm, right? You don't have to go all out, go crazy. So this match is not over yet, but Justin couldn't have asked for a better start in this section.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm really still a little puzzled and surprised that Josh has decided to first go for a Benoni, followed by this f3, e4, 1, b3 move order. I would have expected something like this Queen's Indian in the first game, not in the third game of the 3+1 portion. But let's see. Hopefully he can sort of pretend the last few games never happened and try to find his footing again.
Yeah, Josh's second game, honestly, the opening was fine. It was the decision to trade queens that led him down a losing path, I think. So here he's playing f3. No, this is Justin playing f3, but this makes sense. He's going after this e pawn. It's attacked 4 times now, only defended by a pawn and bishop. So really forcing Josh's hand to make a decision here.
Yeah, e takes f3, I think the natural response, but this will fix a weakness on the e6 square. Let's see how he decides to recapture. He takes with the bishop.
Yeah,
Knight
that
c6
makes
played.
sense. It pins the d pawn, so you couldn't take on c4.
Yeah, knight e7 played, just trying to solidify an e4 here by Justin. That feels like a great move. And again, that e6 pawn, forever weak. Josh takes on c4, but his pawns all feel so weak that even though he's up a pawn, it certainly doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, e4 looks very logical, right? Just taking that center there, and really just attacking the light squares. But that unpinned the d pawn to the bishop, and that is Josh's opportunity to take on c4. But kind of a hard pawn to hold on to because now queen e2 targets the pawn. You could maybe consider bishop a6, but then you're just going to play b3 here, or maybe even you could play d5. Looks very, very aggressive as well.
d5 feels very provocative. Again, if you take, then I'm taking with the knight, and you've got a lot of questions to answer. And if you play e5, then maybe bishop g4, bishop e6 can be considered. a4 is chosen by Justin, and c6. It feels like Josh has actually managed to solidify a little bit in the past few moves and cement his pawn advantage. But b3 chosen, using that pin to try to regain the pawn on c4.
Yeah, I think Justin looked at b3, but then saw black could probably play b5 there. So starting with a4, Josh responds with c6, still trying to maybe think about b5, but I think that this pawn structure is going to get just blown apart here. But
Queen d6, I mean, phenomenal move, phenomenal tactical understanding. Realizing this knight on c3 is unprotected and intending to meet bc4 with queen b4, a double attack on the knight and c4 pawn. My coach likes to say LPDO, loose pieces drop off, and it seems Justin is very familiar with that concept as well. Queen b4 here, a double attack, and it seems like he's solidified his pawn advantage here.
Yeah, Justin just has to abandon the pawn and now has to save the rook. So it looks like maybe e4, this one opportunity to take on c4. Josh took it and ran with it and now is up a pawn.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Rook e1 here. The good news is White still has this center, and that means anything can happen. But I think Josh should be very happy. E5 here played, trying to open up that light squared bishop on f3, but also giving black that d5 as well as the f5 square. I don't know if I agree with that move. What do you
Yeah,
think?
e5, it looks like it makes sense. You know, you're hitting the queen, you're opening up for your bishop, but the weaknesses that you've conceded are just really too much, like that massive d5 square. And now there's also knight f5 is an option as well.
Yeah.
This knight move hitting the rook, but also trying to defend f3. But this is looking a little scary now. Black's bringing in all of the pieces. There's going to be some issues. I know it because this knight, that's not a reliable defender. You can lose your knight to something as simple as h6, and uh I don't know, this king is lined up on the same diagonal as the bishop. The bishop can get replaced by the queen or even the knight. Black looking like they're going to be able to answer back here, but Josh, they didn't convert last time they had a major lead. That ended in a draw. So let's see if Josh can finally get on the board in this 3+1 section.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also worried about that 30-second time deficit that seems to be a truth in this 3+1 section. Um, Nerves are high, but I think Josh has to win this game. If he doesn't, I think that's a 3-point deficit and his confidence shattered. I think he absolutely needs to bring this one home. H6 feels like a good start.
H6 on the board.
94. But I
The
don't see the knockout, and it looks like neither is Josh. Time is ticking. I think he might be
C5.
panicking a little bit.
C5 is the move to create space for queen C6, but Josh isn't finding it.
No, and you can't blame him. That feels a little counterintuitive when you're focused on the king side to suddenly switch to the C file. Maybe also opening the queen to go to C6, B7, and just increase the pressure to the max. Queen
Oh
E7
no.
played.
Josh, I mean, you could just feel the tactics aren't working out because he needs just one more attacker, and there was the queen. He was trying to bring in the knight, but now the tension is being released, but this is going to favor Justin. Look at that e-pawn go.
Yeah, this has gone horribly
Oh, and
wrong
there was
for.
a forced mate missed. I think you could have maybe pushed through e7, but here's
E7
e7
now.
now, and now Josh is hoping for a perpetual.
Yeah, which I think he might get, or maybe not. I mean, that white king thankfully can't run to the E file because of queen E1 check and picking up the
Exactly.
E7 pawn. This
So
might be a
here's
perpetual, but that's not the result that he was looking for.
Yeah, he bails out in the time pressure, but at least he stops the bleeding. But yeah, that C5 maneuver, he needed to find that if he wanted to find a path forward, but unable to in the time pressure.
Yeah, no, super instructive, and that's a hard breaking draw for Josh. I think that was his chance to get back on the board. The good news is we still have 12 minutes left in this 3+1 section, so hopefully he can squeeze in another 2 games before we get to the bullet. But even getting to the bullet with an even score, I think, would favor Justin. So this feels like an uphill battle already for Josh.
Yeah, it all depends on this next game here, how many 3+1 games Josh wants to have, because this game could very well swing back in Justin's favor. So right now, seems like both players, Castle King side, pretty much out of the opening unscathed. And so honestly, a pretty symmetrical. Oh no, we could see another early draw here. We
Yeah,
saw this
no,
earlier. Oh,
I
oh,
don't
no.
think he has the luxury of a draw, unfortunately, anymore. Uh, I think Josh recognizes he needs to put some points on the board now before we get to the bullet. Um, Knight h4, I think, a good move, asking some questions to black, but bishop e4, and it's unclear whether or not you can actually take it and leave your knight stranded on h4.
F3 is also kind of a funny move here, but not played. Knight takes. But now, yeah, like you said, D takes E4, and now the knight Where are you going after a move like g5? That's kind of scary. We might have to push the g pawn here. And
Yeah,
we
but
do.
maybe e5 now can be played quickly, taking advantage of the weak f3, the weak d3 squared. He elects to just play knight d5.
Knight in, and
Again,
the
even if that
threat.
knight...
Knight takes e3. Wait.
Oh yeah, good tactical vision. I missed that
I
completely.
guess there's, after queen takes g3, there's the knight can retreat to g2. But you could win 3 pawns in front of that king.
Yeah, it's certainly something to be considered, and it feels like it would be Justin's style as well, but he says, no need, I'm already up 2 points in the match. Why risk anything? The knight on h4 stays bad, so I think it's a good practical decision to try to not complicate things, and if the status quo favors you, why change it?
Okay, Josh doubles on the c file.
Let's see here. The good news is in this game, there's no 30-second time deficit yet. So already this feels like it's going better for Josh than the last 3 games have gone. Queen c2 targeting that weak e4 pawn.
And the knight on c8. So trading off both rooks and looking for a pawn here. You can see Justin finds this queen to c7 move, able to get a pawn back. I mean, Justin always so resourceful.
Absolutely, but maybe if you get that pawn back, queen e5 will be a little troubling. Pinning yourself is never something you
g4.
want to do. Maybe g4, g5 in the air, right?
There it is.
And played.
Josh can smell the blood in the water, and Justin defending here, trying not to go down on time or down in material, grabs the pawn, but now this check. Self-pin, g4, threatening to attack the knight again. We see h6, holding that g-pawn at bay for just a moment, because now f4, Josh is insisting and posing a huge question to Justin right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This has been great chess, great understanding from Josh. Just pointing out that that knight on c8 and that queen on b2 are completely out of the game. Knight b6 chosen. But again, he's going to go down a piece.
Takes and a piece now is Josh, but we haven't seen Josh convert in this time control, so this has to be the moment for Josh.
Absolutely. If he doesn't win this one, that really might be match over, because if you can't win up a piece, that's not a chance you get every game. Maybe a4, a5 should be played here, just trying to solidify all of your pieces instead of looking for a direct knockout. I think Josh needs to now focus up and find the right winning plan without taking any risk. Because if he doesn't win this one, that could be critical. He elects to give up the a3 pawn, trying to just immediately finish the game. But in exchange, Josh gets these A and B pawns, which could become dangerous later on.
He's trying to attack this knight again, so he's using the knight, but you can't play knight e4 immediately because queen takes e3 with check and pinning the knight, winning the knight. So instead, he brings the king into f2, trying to guard the e pawn, queen check, bishop block, and now
Queen b4, but knight e4 now is a move. I thought
94.
queen c2 was the only move covering the e4 square and maybe hinting at queen f5. Queen b4, what is his response? Maybe knight back to e7, but a passive move is never one you want to make.
Wow,
Queen
even
c7,
queen c7.
wow.
Queen c7, and if queen f8, there's knight takes e6 fork,
Amazing.
taking
Yeah.
advantage of the pin. Wow. Knight e4, by the way, was just winning, but this is even more winning. So, wow, he can sack the knight. He can play queen h7 check. And if... Wait, what is the move after king
Or
to
simply
h6?
h4 looks pretty convincing as well, threatening queen h7
Yeah,
mate.
this is forced mate now. H4 might be the simplest, but I really want to see what the computer likes. After king takes g5, so queen h7, king takes knight, so you're sacking the knight. You have this move queen to g7, apparently.
Wow. And I'm still struggling to understand. I imagine something like h4 is the threat there.
Oh my goodness. But
If
okay,
h4 is
Josh,
uncaptured, queen h6 mate. Josh, come on,
you
just
have
wrap this
so
up.
many ways to
h4.
win. There it is. Don't need to
Yeah.
be anything crazy now. Queen g8. Beautiful move. Looking for h8. There's queen f6 check.
But simply king g2, I think, or king g1, and you've run out of
You can move
checks.
the king. You can block with the bishop there. but okay, we're threatening some knight check. Okay, he just
And a
resigns.
resignation. That's big. Also, right before the timer ends, 5 minutes left. That's a great game by Josh, a well-deserved win, and I think that puts him squarely back in the running.
I actually like that resignation there from Justin. We were talking about delaying as long as possible, right? Tiring the opponent out. But that one, you don't give Josh the satisfaction of playing it out because I think that would have been a really feels good moment. Instead, just saying, all right, you got this game, let's just move on. And here already, kind of a questionable opening choice for Justin. I think trading queens early um, and Josh has already castled queenside with check even, now attacking the e-pawn. Could this be the momentum that Josh needs?
Yeah, maybe. This is an opening both players have played before in a structure they're very familiar with. I should say just yesterday at the Inter-Ivy Championships, Josh won a game with the black pieces in a very similar structure against Wesley Wang from Harvard. So he's for sure got some good memories in this structure. So very much an interesting choice by Justin here to play what gave Josh so much success just yesterday.
And this is really a critical game because Josh could tie it up going into the bullet, which would be incredible. I mean, Justin started off 2-0 and back-to-back games has been struggling actually against Josh. Josh could have already tied it, perhaps answering two in a row. So Justin maybe getting a little lucky in that 2 games ago, but I was thinking Justin definitely like let off the hook and could have tried building on to the lead in that last game, but Josh has showed back-to-back games now he's been the one for choice.
Yeah, absolutely. And this opening looks like it went very well for Josh. He's got a bishop pair now and is cooking up an attack on the king side. Sorry, that took me a moment there. Now that the king's on c2, it's a little counterintuitive to think that the king side is still over on the H and G files, but G takes F played.
Wow, this
This
is
looks
really
like it's going
interesting.
very right.
Knight takes on h5 is the move, but then you could sneak in f2 there for black.
Yeah. E5
Wow,
played. That looks very wrong. F2 comes to
you have
mind.
to play f2.
Uh, I'm not sure why you wouldn't either. It comes with tempo and
I mean, f2, you're just putting the pawn on a protected square. You're hitting the rook with the tempo. You're threatening the queen, and you're just creating a a miserable rook on f1 now, just babysitting the f pawn. So
yeah,
this,
played. Although again, Bishop D1 check.
wow,
Phenomenal chess by Josh. I mean, hats off to him. I think that was probably also the only move to bring this one home. I mean, amazing, amazing chess. Wow. I mean, what a move, right?
oh, what a lovely move, and that's just a skewer you can take on b3.
Take up on b3 and then the rook comes to d1, right? Should end the game on the spot. Also played ef6, rook d1 should spell the end to this match.
Rook
Or excuse me, to
d1,
this
rook
game.
d1 is coming. Oh
Amazing.
my goodness,
Wow.
is this Justin on tilt?
This must be Justin on tilt, and I mean, I think that's nothing short of a masterpiece here by Josh. And again, he can sneak in one more game in the 3+1, which I think, given how the last 2 games went, is absolutely in his favor. I
Oh
mean, wow.
man, this is
I
actually
think,
risky. Justin maybe could have tried to draw the clock out and just say, hey, let's take it to the bullet tied. Instead, he's saying, no, let's get one more 3+1 in and let me let me prove some of this magic that Jeffrey was talking about that you've been mentioning. But this could really play in Josh's favor. He's been in the lead the last 3 games in a row, and if he takes the lead going into the bullet, I mean, all bets are off.
yeah, no, absolutely. And I think Justin, sensing the change in momentum, elects to go with his favorite Petrov, keep things nice and controlled so as to not lose another game before we enter the bullet portion. But man, I'm still reeling from that last game. Such beautiful, beautiful chess by Josh. I mean, that's got to do something really, really good to your confidence and to your momentum in the match.
Yeah, Justin allowing for that f2 pawn push, and I think that decision there really cost him. I mean, it was going to be tricky, either way, but definitely what he did was not it.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a uncharacteristically quiet game, given how the match has gone so far. I think both players are happy to call it quits and say, look, that was quite a 3+1. Let's just end things peacefully as we go into the final 1+1 section. Um, I mean, absolutely symmetrical structure here. And an offer to trade all the rooks, I think, will probably be not accepted. It seems Josh might actually be playing for more here.
Yeah, 96. I like this move. You were saying it's a symmetrical structure. Well, black has pushed f6, and that creates a weakness on e6. And the knight hops in immediately, rook to e7, making sure the rooks aren't getting forked on c7, but also creating some space to double up here. So I like this move from Justin. But computer likes this move g4 from white, just being super aggressive there on the king side. But instead we see the knight coming back, offering a rook trade. Black doubles up, makes a lot of sense. Can we... No, the b pawn is defended by the knight on d6.
Yeah, this seems like an unfortunately unavoidable rook trade. The good news is, though, that white is certainly not worse, but he's also not better. That knight on d6 does a great job protecting the b7 pawn, and I imagine they'll play some moves here, but a repetition might be imminent. g5, grabbing some space, h3, h5.
I like what Justin has been doing. Josh is low on time, and we've seen Josh struggle in the time pressure. So, Justin, he might try to turn this into a bullet game by keeping the pressure on the clock.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But again, with every pawn you push on the king side, you also risk creating a weakness. So I think Josh is doing a very good thing here, just shuffling around his knights and sort of baiting Justin to make a pawn push that he might end up regretting in the end. Um, and I think most importantly, he's making some quick moves here, not burning too much time on the clock.
A shout out to Papega with the gifted sub to Wikipedia. And what's up, Erud and Speed Chess? Good to see you all.
Yeah, shout out Jeffrey. Wikipedia is still here in the chat. Asks how we did at Inner Ivies. Well, thanks to actually a stand-up performance by Justin and Josh, we managed to tie for first. Although after the Blitz playoffs, we finished in third to Yale and Harvard. Uh, but it was a great experience, and I want to again give a little shout out to both players for making it here after playing chess for almost 13 hours yesterday. Uh, I mean, that's just a great effort they're putting on to give us a show here. So a big shout out to both Justin and Josh for making it here today. Really incredible stuff.
13 hours, that's quite a bit of time.
Yeah, it was a whole day event. I mean, from setting up to playing 4 games and then 2 Blitz playoffs of 2 games each. A lot of chess, a lot of action. It was a great event, and we were honored and to host it and very happy that it also went well.
Josh
Let's
now less than 40 seconds, about a minute advantage for Justin here. Justin trying to squeeze his king in over, but now the knight asking a question, but Justin's knight is there to respond and now can box out the king. The knight's forced back. This is
Yeah, no, I think
still very equal.
yeah, Justin's doing a smart thing here, just playing on, given the clock situation. And if somehow he does manage to win this game, I mean, that would absolutely ruin Josh's confidence. But this looks like it's petering out. All the pawns are being traded here. Knight e5, great move, centralizing the knight, pressuring the c6 pawn.
Yeah, keeping black's knight on e7 on pawn babysitting duty here, but the pawn's getting pushed.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe knight f3 here, hitting the g5 pawn comes to mind. It feels like more pawn trades are imminent. Knight d3 chosen. Uh, Fair enough. King
All right,
d6,
here's the
knight e5,
repetition.
threatening knight f7. We might see a repetition here, and we do.
All
Wow.
right, it's all tied up, 5.5 to 5.5. Neither player has been able to find an advantage, a breakthrough. It was looking like Justin was going to run away, and we said Josh really needed one. He found a draw, and that was enough for him to get the confidence back and going. And he definitely took it to Justin there and shocked him a little bit. Maybe caught him on a little bit of tilt, but now the clock is up, so the players will take another break, and we will have Bullet coming up next. And I think maybe we can bring Nathan back in, talk a little bit about that section. So, Nathan, let us know how was that your expectations, or did you think Josh maybe caught a couple people off guard?
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely personally hoping it would be close, and I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't know what to expect. I think like Josh, even though Josh losing those first couple games, like that didn't necessarily surprise me, and it also did not necessarily surprise me that he won them back because I mean he is the comeback king. He's the only person to come back from like a deficit of 6 points. So, in any like no one else has ever done that. We've seen some 3-point comebacks, some 4-point comebacks. Well, actually, no, I think only 3-point comebacks. So Josh really is a comeback king. So even if he ever gets behind, I trust him that he has the capability to come back.
So we can never count him out, which is exciting, and especially now that it's completely drawn equal, 5.5 to 5.5. And only the bullet section left. Do you have tie breaks in like what
Yes,
happens if
yeah.
it's tied at the end?
I think I have it written out. Let me pull it up. I believe we just play one additional game. So and then if that's a draw, then they have another break if they want it, and then 4 more games. And if that's a draw, 2 more games of 1+1. All these are 1+1, and then after that we have like a pseudo Armageddon if it's tied all the way.
Wow.
It's like 45 seconds for black and then 1 minute for white.
Wow. Who
So
gets
it might be a kind of it depends on your perspective on if that's fair or unfair for the Armageddon, but
well,
hopefully it doesn't get that. It's never gotten there. Never gotten close to
Well,
that.
well,
let's see. We yesterday we expected a three-way tie to never happen, so we never really wrote regulations about that. Of course, inevitably it happened, and nobody was particularly happy at the end. So, you never know. Although I do expect the bullet section to be decisive.
Yeah.
Um, I think Josh is an incredibly tactical player. I know he does hours of studies every day, and whereas Justin's a really great positional player and endgame player, I think more often than not, Bullet is decided by tactics. So even though I think Justin's got the edge in mouse skills, it could be that Josh's tactics are just really on point today, and I think we've seen that also partially in the 3+1.
so
Yeah.
Nathan, maybe you could tell us a little bit about the prizes at stake. Obviously, the players are fighting for the championship title, which is perhaps the most important thing. That and bragging rights. Are there any other prizes?
Yeah. So, well, both players, by making this to the finals, they will be mailed a plaque. And then first place gets $100 and second place gets 50. So minor prize fund, but maybe a little something, something to add the cherry on top.
Very nice. And I know we've been also supporting with the freechess.com diamond memberships
Absolutely.
along the way. These
Yeah, it's
players
been really
obviously
great.
don't need them because they're both titled players, but maybe they could gift some to their friends.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
the good news is there was also some team camaraderie shown. I think Justin privately agreed to split the cash prize already, so there were going to be no hard feelings after the match, which was
Wow,
just
okay.
a really nice gesture. I think mostly from Justin, who was maybe the favorite going into the match, wanting to take the pressure off and show some respect to the graduating seniors. Uh, so I'm happy there won't be any issues with that when, our chess club reconvenes tomorrow. Um, but yeah, this is for sure, I think, about the bragging rights and about the title of Pennsylvania Speed Chess Collegiate Champion. I mean, I think that means something.
And maybe
Yep.
the winner can take the loser out to dinner or something. The difference in prize money. But yeah, Nathan, let us know when the next games are going to be starting, and we've got an exciting finish here ahead of us.
Yep. So games will be we rounded up to the next minute, so 3:38 will be when the games are resuming. So,
All right, so under 2 minutes here, and the players themselves are going to be under 2 minutes as well, with the 1+1, the speedy portion here. And as we heard, if it's still tied, we might even have tiebreakers. I feel like I don't actually know what the SEC tiebreaker rules are, but something just came to me. Like, what if you just continued 1+1 with no clock, but just whoever gets a 2-point lead first?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they did that like the Blitz World Championship, and they Magnus and Jan Nepomniachtchi, drew it. So I
It
don't
just
know.
kept going forever.
Yeah. So
Yeah, let's
ma-
see. Well, hopefully it won't come to that today, but you never know. I wouldn't put it past these guys, given how the 5+1 and 3+1 have gone, in one player's favor than the other, and then ended up peacefully. So maybe we'll see the same thing happen here now in the 1+1.
Yeah, as long as they don't agree to co-champions, I think that's the one thing that nobody wants.
definitely not.
All right, so it looks like we've got about a minute left. Let us know in the chat who you guys are rooting for. I think people are saying that Jeffrey's or Justin's been the favorite. I mean, Jeffrey is also my favorite, but I don't know. Josh has been hanging around, sticking around, and apparently he's the comeback king, so he's never out until it's over. And neither of these players have lost a match so far to make it here. But all that's going to come to an end in just a few minutes.
Yeah, no, I think also Josh might be the favorite here in the community. Always gotta give it to the underdog and the seniors. He's also been around for many, many years, so I think he's got a lot of fans and friends along the way.
All right, looks like the
So
games have started. So thank you, Nathan. We'll see you on the other side.
Yep, thank you.
All right, bullet time. Justin, maybe for choice, but Josh has proven he's been able to hang so far. Oh, we might have an early draw here again, unless. Wow.
yeah, no, we've seen this one before, right? Oh my God. A quick throwback to the 5+1 where we had the exact same draw on the board. Uh, I think maybe trying to shake off some nerves from both players before they really get into the action. And Josh picks his favorite semi-Tarrasch. I think a great match strategy in the bullet to pick what you know best. Knight c6, completely symmetrical structure here.
And with the change from blitz to bullet, we actually see Justin is at 2,800 and Josh 2,735, so a little bit closer in bullet rating. And I guess it really is pretty even. I mean, they drew the first game. It's going to be a close one here, unless one of them could maybe really pull it away.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though I think Justin's the favorite, he's for sure not a big favorite. So I think this could go either way. And so far, this opening looks like it's gone in Black's favor. He's got a kingside attack lined up, and those pawns on g3 and h3 feel like weaknesses, not assets.
Okay, trading bishops there. The computer likes keeping the bishops on with bishop g6. And I really like this bishop on b2. Strong diagonal. I'm wondering if we can move our knight and make a battery, but it looks like our opponent is doing it for us. And there goes a free piece. Josh, a simple blunder there and resignation.
Yeah, that could be nerves. It could still be some tiredness from yesterday, but hopefully he can shake this off and just pretend that game never happened and sort of start the match from here. And again, we see this B3 push, French turned Sicilian. Seems to be something we might be seeing very often in this bullet match.
Yeah, that bishop hang, I'm not sure if that's nerves like you said, or Josh just playing a little too fast, but we definitely don't want to see any more of those. So hopefully Josh can shake it off and moving on to this next game here. So here d4 I think is the move. Okay, rook e1 also very logical, just defending the knight, getting the rook opposite the king. Black, now they can castle either which way. Probably will go kingside, I imagine.
Yeah, I think so too. Queenside feels like it might be a bit much. There we go. We see castles, cd takes. Maybe he'll take the chance now to take on c6 and claim that he's got a better structure and a very nice bishop pair, eyeing that black king.
Yeah, definitely like this a lot for white. Those double pawns aren't great. that being said, the computer was saying black had to move knight b4, actually, which would have been really interesting, eyeing c2, but
Yeah,
didn't
absolutely.
find
I
it.
think it's still in the air, right? Knight e4, also great move. Looking at that f6 square, potentially. Maybe knight f6 here is a move. Takes and
Oh
queen
my
f6, spotted by
goodness.
Josh. This is the tactics training, you know,
Made one
paying
next no
off. And I
matter
think that's
what.
mate next, right?
Yeah.
Amazing chess by Josh. Well spotted. And a show of
Nice.
respect here by Justin, letting Josh play out the checkmate. 7-7, matches level with 10 minutes to go, 11 minutes to go.
Uh,
This could really be anybody's game.
Shout out to Cash Carbon with the Prime sub. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, no, awesome. And I mean, look at this opening. It looks like, again, Josh should be quite happy with what he's got here. Solid structure. Um, and both of these guys playing incredibly fast in the opening, maybe a little too fast. But nobody willing to fall down on clock.
Yeah, that last game was really a great response from Josh. We were worried about him sacking, or not sacking, but just straight up blundering a bishop. And that's exactly what we wanted to see. Josh answering back, not letting it shake him. And now look at this, queen up to c3, rook behind, queen has to go back to d1. And as you mentioned, black is moving forward, white's moving backward. This is a great position, great sign for Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. And look at this. Both players still have nearly a minute on the clock, 25 moves in. These guys are playing super, super fast chess. Now, knight e4 eyeing the weakness on f2. Maybe queen c2 will be played next. g4,
Whoa,
very wrong. Queen b2, amazing. We've seen this motif earlier, hitting that f7 pawn, knight and queen combining to make a great pair, and rook c2 probably next, just overloading the f2 pawn.
rook
I
c2
mean,
is lights out, but hold on. Justin's trying to hold with rook to b1, but now
queen
queen and
c3,
rook lined
how
up.
do you defend the f2 pawn, right? I mean, this is just domination by Josh, and
Oh,
with 45 seconds on the clock still, I mean, amazing stuff.
white's looking for some counter chances on e8 with check, but taking on f2 is definitely the way forward here.
It feels decisive taking on f2, and you'll be very fast then afterwards with queen c2 and some mate incoming.
Yeah,
Josh taking some time, I think a right decision. Maybe he's considering king f8, trying to, really shut down any counterplay, but I don't think it's necessary. Rook f2
yeah,
played.
he finds the move, and the problem is you've got e3 is hanging, I think.
Can you take it? Queen f5 check, king g8, queen
Maybe not.
e6, king f8. I think you might.
Oh, I think it's perpetual now.
I think, yeah, maybe
So
it's a
what was the move that was needed here? Black to move. The only move apparently was queen c2.
Yeah, that makes some sort of sense, covering the diagonal. Let's see now though, because queen e6 check, maybe king f8. So he elects queen c8 check. Yeah, this seems like it should just be a draw. But time's ticking, Josh. You can't, slack off either. All right, a draw. I think a fair result to that game. Again, Justin showing his resourcefulness and unwillingness to lose, even in what looked like a doomed position. And again, the French chosen by Justin.
Okay, and this time in advanced French. So the new line already in this battle here between the two players. They're testing out. It's like they're kicking each other's tires.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a great way of putting it. Again, both of these players have played French for many, many years, I think. They know what they're doing here. Um, but this looks like it's gone in Justin's favor. He sort of has everything one could ask for in a French.
Yeah, he's got three pieces attacking the pawn on d4. It's only defended twice, so we see knight to b5 and immediately question. Knight has honestly a funny path to c3, going a3 b5 to c3. But yeah, this trade happens now. G4 forcing the knight to move, takes on e3, and now this d pawn has additional support with a second e pawn, and now semi-open f file for white to work with. But black seems pretty happy here on the queen side.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think this kind of position might even suit Josh. Queen d3 lining up knight g5 with an attack on f7 and on h7. Justin chooses to take on c3. Very reasonable, claiming he's got a better structure and trying to trade queens. That's some great awareness by Justin, realizing his king might be in trouble, but he's got the static advantage, the positional advantage, and so a queen trade will be in his favor.
That slight recapture on c3, that was actually a miss. As you had pointed out, knight g5 was the move, and in this situation, it's the move again, and it's been played, and now the queen
Sliding to
slides.
h4, yeah.
Yeah, it's coming in hot. So only move here for black, h6.
I think also h6 is a tough find, giving up the pawn on f7, probably after knight f7, king g7. Actually, I don't even see the move. King g7 is met with queen f6. What exactly is the idea after h6 and knight f7?
Oh, he finds
Found
it.
by Justin, amazing. Queen
Queen back.
d7. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Incredible stuff by
Now queen
Justin.
h4, but now apparently the move is knight d2, but not knight d2 plan. Oh, and rook f6 was the move. This is ridiculous. I was thinking rook h8 was a move.
Queen g5 now hinting at knight
But then
f5
I
in
guess
some
there's queen
situations. Hitting the knight
f6.
on e3. This still looks really tough for black. Where do you put the knight? What do you do?
The move
Knight
here,
c4, maybe rook
rook
f1.
f3. Okay, knight comes back.
h4, trying
h1.
for h5.
Oh,
Queen d8. Great move by Justin.
has to trade queens.
I think
Now
he does as well.
g5.
G5. I think
Maybe
we can
rook
take a
back to
quick deep
f8.
breath here now that we've reached an endgame, but both players still on 10 seconds. Rook f1,
Whoa.
the mate isn't over, is what Josh is saying. Rook f6.
Wow, I can't believe Justin didn't go for rook f8 and allows the rook to enter on f6.
Now rook g8 is it not mate now? Rook g8, how do you stop that? What do you do? King e3, knight g7.
Well,
He's trying for some sort of drawing machine here, but
rook
I don't think it
g8,
exists. King comes
there's
to
king
f3.
h7, but the e pawn I think is
E-pawn
the
is running.
concern.
Yeah. King g4 here. If knight f5, I think you just take that. The rook endgame surely is winning. He goes for knight e2, but here and check and g8 queen.
This is going to be Josh's first lead of the match.
Yeah, I mean, incredible stuff. This is now just mate, queen f7, queen g7. Wow, what a game by Josh. And here we've written him away as the underdog and not the favorite on the bullet, but now he's up one with 5 minutes to go. I think
Wow.
Justin must be a little worried now.
Justin, is this not their A game, or is Josh just on another level?
I mean, I think Justin's been playing some great chess today. We see the tactical awareness, finding these perpetuals, finding h6 followed by queen d7. You know, we can't say that this match is won because Justin's playing bad chess. I mean, Josh is just playing phenomenal chess. Great tactical awareness, not missing a thing. I mean, hats off to Josh here. It looks like he's in a great place to take this one home.
So I heard Josh is the comeback king, but how used to playing with the lead is he?
Yeah, that's a good question. A better question might be how used is Justin to playing without the lead? Given that every match we see him, he's usually up five points at the very least before we even get to the bullet, where he's honestly just flexing his skills. So this must be a novel feeling for Justin. Also a little different that they're both sitting in the same room. I imagine they can sort of see how the other person is feeling. That might be influencing the results and amplifying the effect of momentum if you can just see it on your opponent's face that they're not happy.
And maybe even a little bit of trash talk between them. That'd be fun. But no, I think Justin definitely a little uncomfortable, maybe not used to this playing from behind, especially with only 3.5 minutes left. I mean, you're down. This is actually like a must-win situation because if Josh wins this, he basically clinches the match.
He can basically just stall out. I agree, but Justin looks like he knows what to do and he's executing. Now cementing weaknesses on d5 and c3. These pawns feel really, really weak. However, he's down 10 seconds on the clock. This could prove decisive.
I think this is
A
going to be a
critical
clutch
moment
win
here.
for Justin.
Queen g6, hitting the rook on c2. Rook c1 played though, double attacking c3. Knight d7 and the pawns falling. This isn't looking great for Josh. Nathan, we might have to brush up those tiebreak regulations after all. This is heading in that direction for sure. Or we might just have one bullet game, the next one that'll be for all the marbles, which is
Yeah,
really going to be
I
something.
I think there's going to be one game left after this. King h2 attacking that knight. Knight's going to have to find a new home. Or you can play queen d6.
Yeah, Josh, ever tricky, ever resourceful. F5 played, shutting down any shenanigans on the diagonal. But queen b4, look at that queen, maybe eyeing the e1 square, going for a perpetual on the e1 and g3 squares. A6, queen e1, there it is.
Oh
He's
man,
infiltrated. How do
Josh
you stop
knows
the
the
perpetual?
match.
8
Yeah,
seconds.
knight back.
Knight f3, but he's got it now. Oh my God, knight f2. He drops the
Oh,
queen.
that's gonna be the
Oh my God, and
match.
he resigns. I think this might be the match. 1 minute left and 2 bullet games. I think he can just stall this one out, right?
Yeah, I think he can stall it once the clock gets below Josh's time, he can stall it out, and that's gonna
Oh, but
be
what a
the
heartbreaking
match.
loss. I mean, he had a perpetual, but he didn't have a win. Now he, uh-oh, a pawn on d4 dropped by Josh, though. He might be trying to, make it to the tiebreaks after all.
It's
He might have
okay.
been a little bit too excited.
Josh is stalling a little bit. He needs to gain 30 seconds. Just bring the bishop back to e2, right? Oh, and this
Wait
is
a minute,
already
hold on.
a
He's just
massive
dropped a
blunder.
piece. Knight
Knight
takes
takes
d4.
d4. Yeah.
What are we doing here? Takes knight c takes.
Ooh, very
Hold on.
nice. Very
What's
nice.
happening?
Pawn
Yeah,
push.
knight b3, bishop d2, both
Bishop
possible.
counter.
Uh-oh.
Lovely move here. Now you can save your knight.
Look at this.
That's it.
He's down
That's
a
it.
piece and 1 minute to go. This could be it.
This is
Queen
it.
c1, maybe queen
Any
e1,
queen
bishop
move.
e3 coming. Just play bishop e3, queen a5.
30
Come on.
seconds.
G5, but that's desperation here.
Justin
Queen
is
a5.
trying
Come
to
on,
find
finish it,
anything.
Josh. Queen a5, knight b5. Or even simply bishop takes g5, rook d1. Anything works. Again, I would grab this g5 pawn while I have the chance, but
He just
I
needs to
think
make up 15 seconds, and
yeah, I
that's
think
the
Josh is
match.
just is probably
Queen
switching
trade.
tabs back and forth, trying to keep an eye on the clock. Queen f5 now forces the queens off. This might be the match.
I think the last game was the match.
That might be true. Bishop a7 also
He
played. It
just
looks
needs
like
like
Josh
five
might just win
seconds.
this one to salt the wound. He picks up a second piece as well.
No,
I don't see how this one's
this
gonna go
is
wrong.
he's officially over on the clock, so he can stall out at this point.
But also, I mean, why not win an extra game? Up the bullet rating a little bit. He's up 2 pieces now, and he takes the rook. Now this is
We're gonna
just
see
insult
resignation.
to injury, right?
Takes with check. Okay. Wow. I mean, congratulations. He finds the mate, and that's the timer at the
That's
same
it.
time. A buzzer beater. And Josh, the third ever Pennsylvania Speed Chess Champion. Congratulations to Josh, winning with a total score of 10.5 to 7.5. The upset, and perhaps the fan favorite. How are we feeling, Alex? Is that
I
a
mean,
shock?
chills. The adrenaline is spiking. That was really, they took it to the wire. We didn't know what was going to happen going into the bullet, where really Justin is supposed to be the favorite. Josh told me as much yesterday. So to see him win this is really amazing, especially that he's graduating now in 1 month here. I think this will be a cherished and well-deserved memory for Josh. I think he might be regretting that he agreed to split the prize fund now, though.
That was Justin's uh, plan all along from the beginning. Make him seem like he's the favorite, and then have Josh agree to splitting the prize and then losing. But yeah, this is definitely not how I think anyone was expecting it to go, except maybe Josh. But hearing from the start, Josh's best chance was in the 5+1, and it was equal. And then the 3+1, he kept it equal, and then going into the bullet, thinking Justin was the favorite, but he loses that by 3 games, losing the last 3 games in a row to Josh, who really showed up in that bullet section and clinches the championship.
Yeah, absolutely incredible play from both players. I'm super excited for this post-game interview, so don't go anywhere. I think we've got some great questions to ask these guys about their openings, their match strategy, and of course the nerves going into that final section. But I mean, really, a big congrats to both players for giving us some amazing chess.
Yeah, should we bring in Nathan for one last time before we bring in the players for their interviews?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, you ready, Nathan?
Yep.
All right. Well, Nathan, this is the conclusion of the tournament. We have our winner, Josh, who upset Justin, it seems, in the very end, those last bullet games. Do you have anything to say?
Well, yeah, the only thing I have to say is that was some excellent chess. I mean, I feel that Justin probably feels like he's kicking himself a little bit for just how that ended. And it's just really slipped out of his fingers in those last few games. It was so tight for so long. But man, I mean, what can it was as exciting as it could possibly have been. So I'm very happy.
Awesome. Well, I think the players are going to be joining on one single camera. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's the case.
All right, so we can take a little bit of a break here while we set that up and invite them to join our call. So don't go anywhere just yet. If you guys have any questions for the players, please let us know in the chat, and we'll see you when the players are ready. All right, everyone, welcome back. We have our champion, Josh, and our second place finalist, Justin, joining us here today, along with Alex, our UPenn president and commentator. We just witnessed some Pennsylvania college chess history here with Josh taking home the championship in the final moments of the bullet. Josh, how are you feeling right now?
Yeah, I feel, yeah, I'd say I feel good overall. I mean, it was a very hard fought match. I mean, and yeah, I think I was happy with the level of play. And yeah, it's always great to play against Justin, who's a phenomenal player. And I think Justin's definitely a better player than myself. So I think I was quite surprised at, I was able to pull it out in the end.
Yeah, Justin, I kept hearing how you were the favorite and you were gonna, show some magic in the 3+1 and then take it all in the bullet. But Josh kept the score even the whole way through. I mean, you kept getting some leads, but then Josh answered right back. What do you have to say about Josh? He's saying that you're the favorite. Do you think that this was your match and Josh just was the better player today?
No, I think he's a very strong player. It's a close match even before. So I think it was pretty evenly matched up until the final part of the bullet where he played at a really high level. And I feel like I didn't do anything that crazily bad. So I just played my normal level, but he played really well in the bullet, so I can't do anything about that. So congrats to Josh.
Awesome. Let me jump in here with a quick question. Justin and Josh, you guys were playing in the same room face to face. My question to you is, do you think that that influenced the match, the momentum, so that you could actually read the expressions of your opponent after they made a blunder or lost a game? So how was that playing an online match but face to face?
So we actually didn't seat like directly across from each other. That would, yeah, that okay, maybe that would have been because then you're like you're in eye line of the person. That would have been a little awkward. So we kind of spread out a little bit in the same room to give some separation. Personally, I don't think it made much of a difference. I think it made it nicer as to like, you're both in the same room sharing the same competitive experience.
Any trash talk at all, or no?
No.
Not our style, not the Penn Chess Club style.
Yeah.
Good answer. Great answer.
Is that taught by the Pin Club leadership?
Absolutely. Alex is very adamant about sportsmanship and all of this stuff. So yeah, doing all this stuff. Yeah. And we pride ourselves on that too. Absolutely.
So Josh, I hear that you're the comeback king, even coming back from 5 or 6 point deficit at one point, and in this match it was no exception. You came back a couple of times, and in that bullet, I think you dropped a bishop in one move, and you came right back. How do you keep your composure? Is there just ice in your veins?
I mean, in chess, probably not. In chess, yeah, ice in the veins. I don't know. That's actually the first time I've heard that expression used in chess, which is pretty cool. But I wouldn't say so. I would just say I take a longer view of the match that, in bullet, like anything can happen when there's the 1+1 at the end. So just like keep my composure and also, kind of play to my strengths, which are make sure to keep the positions complicated, keep opportunities for tactics and things like that. And yeah, try to make stuff happen. So you're just staying in there, trying to continue playing. Nothing. I mean, and also like there's also nothing else to do. I mean, as opposed to just like quitting and giving up.
And Justin, I heard that you won last year, and Josh is a senior now, but I'm assuming you still have some time left. Do you think you'll be competing again next season?
Yeah, I'll play next year, try to win.
So it's nice that you gave Josh an opportunity to win before he graduates, right?
Yeah, very, very generous of him.
I've got one more question here for Josh. We saw after the break between the 5+1 and the 3+1, you came back swinging, first playing a Benoni and then playing b3, bishop b2, followed by f3, e4. So what was it that after the 5+1 section you decided, let's go all in, let's start sacking some pieces? So what was sort of the switch that flipped between the 5+1 and the 3+1?
Well, that Benoni did not go very well. I think I lost pretty handily if I'm remembering correctly. But I try to like mix up the openings, and I don't know, before the match I was thinking a little, okay, like what opening should I play just so I kind of am not playing the same thing every time. So I just trying to like mix it up. But then towards the end, yeah, I kind of just went back to what I thought was like I knew the most. And the B3 bishop B2 F3 was actually it's actually something I've actually played that before, and I've seen that idea. So, and I thought it's a pretty, especially for Blitz, like it's a pretty good like way to create some complications and do some blunders things. Like there's always the idea that if they move the bishop back to H5, there's Queen E2, Queen B5 check is like a nice bullet trick, some cheapos like that.
I have a question, maybe for both of you, maybe starting with Josh. Obviously, you're teammates with Justin. You guys were playing together yesterday in the Ivy League Championship, both playing for UPenn, but today now you guys were opponents. But what does it mean to you guys knowing that the championship was going to go to a UPenn player either way?
I mean, I think we were both happy that we were each able to make the finals and yeah, take it home for UPenn. Although I think definitely like yesterday, and Alex was of course on the team too. We have good team camaraderie, like good, very strong bonds as a team. Like we've had the same team for Pan Ams and Inter Ivies as well. So, we're just, we have the mentality that like, whatever happens, happens, and let's just have fun doing it and enjoy being teammates and playing with each other.
And last question for me. You guys obviously have had some good success in this event, even in the past, and I know this is a lot of effort for our organizer, Nathan. So is there anything that you guys would like to say about this event, or maybe to some of the teammates or the fans that are watching? I guess the mic is yours, so whatever message you guys want to put out there, take it away.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool event that's run every year. It's something fun to look forward to. And it was really fun playing the match and like, doing the interviews as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we at Penn can't say enough positive things about Nathan. Like Nathan is incredible. All of the things he's doing organizing chess in Pennsylvania. And yeah, this is my first time playing. It's been a great time, and I think we really appreciate Nathan and PA College Chess, and also you Joe at CCL for just everything you guys are doing for collegiate chess.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. And we really appreciate you guys putting on a show and taking the time to not only compete and play your best, but also to be on stream and help grow the game of chess and share it with others. I heard that you guys played chess for 13 hours yesterday, so I'm sure you're both exhausted. Long weekend here. So you have the last question, Alex. Anything else you'd like to say to your players bringing the championship home?
I just want to give a big congrats to both Justin and Josh for playing an incredible match. I mean, it really went down to the wire. And again, like a big congrats to you both for playing after the intense chess that we had yesterday. And of course, congrats for playing great chess yesterday. I want to give also a big shout out to Nathan. He's really an incredible organizer, and this wouldn't have been able to happen without him and all the things he does for chess here in PA. Again, a big shout out to you, Joe, for streaming this match. It's been an absolute pleasure commentating with you, and it's great to have, a bunch of Penn players representing. And of course, if any viewer here is interested in applying to Penn, we could always use more talent on the chess team, given that some of our seniors are leaving. So do consider applying, and hopefully we'll see you next year.
Awesome. So yeah, shout out to PA College Chess on Twitch. Looks like we've already got a follower. And thank you all for watching. Obviously, congratulations to Josh for winning and for Justin for making it this far. And I'm sure we'll see more of Justin again to get his title back maybe next season. But thank you, Alex. It's been a pleasure working with you and commentating with you. And of course, to Nathan, the organizer, and again, all the viewers and the fans. So thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it. And I think we're going to wrap things up here and find some channels to raid. So yeah, thanks again, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.